So it's been a while since I posted about this, so we're going to have a look at the Ebike consultation results and where we're at with it, and it's about where you'd expect, but let's have a chat about it. So let's talk about what's gone on, and it's pretty much dead. The consultation's ended and it's dead in the water. New government, new laws, new rules, and they're totally ignoring this. I've spoken to my local MP, don't really want to talk about it, pretty much said the same as this. And that was sent in to me by one of my followers on my Facebook page. And they basically said the same thing. It'll probably get looked at during this term of Parliament, which a term of Parliament is 5 years. So it might get looked at in the next 5 years. And in the meantime, people with cadence sensor e-bikes that are riding around with a throttle are breaking the law. In the meantime, people disabled, overweight, can't get out of the house as much as they used to, could be riding around and gaining all the mental health benefits of e-biking, but they can't because they can't use a throttle up to 15.5 miles an hour on an e-bike. Again, the whole 750 watt motors thing's a joke. Because let's face it, the power output of that motor is controlled by the controller. So whilst now I've got my engine Pro 2.0 with no throttle, and I've restricted it down to 15.5 miles an hour and used that for a day or two, and it's been fine. I've unlocked it again, and I've put it up to 20 miles an hour, but 20 miles an hour for me is fine. I've done the speed thing. I don't need it. What the ideal thing for me is, or what the whole purpose for me is having an e-bike, it's getting out for the day, going on adventures. That's the whole idea for me to have one. I'll just go see clients on mine. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I enjoy going out and seeing clients on mine, but it's also a talking point. The amount of people that have come up and talked to me about this bike in the last week, because I've been out on it again. I don't film everything I do when I go out, but people just want to talk about it. They just want to know what the rules and regulations are about e-bikes because they want to get one. And when you do tell them, they go, oh, is that right? Is that true? Is that this? Is it that? And it's like, so they're not all illegal then? No. I mean, next week I'm doing a review of the P20, which is a last miler that you can take on a train. It's a cracking bike. I've had a ride round on it and it's fully legal. It's even got a throttle on it that goes up to 4 miles an hour. And it's the same with the P275 Pro and ST. They're legal e-bikes and they're IP6 rated. So you can ride them in the rain. It really pisses me off when the new government turns around and says that we're going to stop winter fuel payments for pensioners, but we're going to give away £11 billion to foreign governments for climate change initiatives. And one of the biggest saviours to climate in the UK could be e-bikes, could be micro transport. I mean, let's say scooters, for instance. Just go into the shop on a scooter instead of using the car. That Engwe Engine Pro 2.0 cost me 30p to charge overnight. And if I'm going around in an eco mode on it, or if I've got it in pass 3, I can easily reach the legal limit on it, and I can easily get probably 40 to 50 miles range out of it for 30p charge. Now, for me to get 40 to 50 miles range out of my car, I've got to put, I do 18 to the gallon on average. So I've got to put 2.5 gallons of fuel in, and it's high grade fuel, and that costs me 2.5. So it's, let's say for argument's sake, it's £6.50 to £7. So it's nearly 18 quid to do the same range in my car. 18 quid, 30p on an e-bike, plus all the mental health benefits I get from riding around on the fresh air, going down the canals, going on mini adventures. And you go places with your e-bikes that you'd never go with a car. Like I said, the new government, not interested. Just, to be honest, they've got a lot of fires to pull out at the moment. But if they think by stealing from the pensioners that really need it is the way forward, and then giving away over £11 billion to foreign climate change initiatives is the way forward, they're not listening. They're just not listening. They're not listening on a lot of grounds, but they're definitely not listening. They've not read the room properly. E-bikes are a solution to this problem in the UK. It'd even unclutter the roads a little bit. People would use their cars less. And as I state time and time again, I've got a nice car, but I use it 80% less than I used to. 80% less. Think about that. And I love going out on my e-bike. And I'm not some teenager. I'm pretty much in my twilight years now. I can't understand why the government, the previous government, I can, because the Conservatives were famous for giving away money to their friends, and that's how we ended up with all these crappy bikes sort of scattered around London, abandoned. Same with the scooters. But if the Labour government that's in now are serious about climate change, they need to look at this soon. They need to look at this sooner than later. If they want any credibility about climate change, they need to look at this. And forget what Brompton says. Oh, it'll take us 6 years to develop a bike like this for this. And it's like, that's your problem. It's not the Chinese's problem. They're giving us the solution to the problem now. Which brings me to another thing, battery fires. As these bikes get more sophisticated and better, you rarely see anything about battery fires. And if it is, it's more to do with these cheap bikes that were bought 4 or 5 years ago, and the batteries have been battered to death and they've just been left to degrade. And I think more education more education should be given to people about battery chemistry, which I'll be going over in a future video anyway. But it's getting rarer and rarer. But every time one happens, it's like main news, you know. It's ridiculous. It's the MSM trying to make us feel guilty for riding an e-bike. And like I said, every robbery you see on an electric bike is an e-bike. It's not. It's an e-moto, or it's a homebrew kit, which does 40 miles an hour. It's not a legal e-bike that's doing it. But they demonise all e-bike riders. It really cheeses me off. What's the solution? Well, you're the solution. You need to get onto your local MP. I mean, I did have the idea of writing out a letter that you just had to sign and send into your EP, but I think that's lazy on your behalf, so I didn't bother. And the consensus across my Facebook pages was pretty much the same. But people have written into their MPs. And like I said, they've all had the same answer. So my solution is just keep hammering them. Get numbers en masse to send emails through to your local MPs and say, look, what are you going to do about this? You know, there's loads of you out there that are riding around on illegal e-bikes that you bought when you thought they were legal. Everything changed. Everything changed. And it's probably going to change again. What's legal, what's not. I mean, I can see the 4 mile an hour throttle, the legal throttle being thrown out. I can see that going. And yeah, you can argue that you can get these bikes, you know, set up as what they are and you can use a throttle on them. That's a dangerous path to go down. You know, letting the government say, yeah, your bike's legal, blah, 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 you can have a throttle, because the next thing you know, it's going to come with some sort of MOT every few years and insurance. I think that's partly the way they're going to fund the fact that these things exist. Because they're going to lose revenue on petrol. They're going to lose revenue. They're going to lose a lot of revenue. If there's more of these e-bikes about, the more people that ride them, instead of using their cars, eventually they'll end up putting electricity up again. So eventually you'll end up down a road where you've got to get your bike tested every few years. You'll end up having to pay insurance. You'll end up having to pay high insurance because insurance companies really are going to hammer you for having an e-bike. And this is the way they're going to monetize e-bikes, using tax laws. They're eventually going to use sneak tactics or sneak politics to just change the law completely. And like I said, don't be surprised if you lose the throttle completely. And maybe even the speed gets reduced down to 12.5 mile an hour like scooters, which will make them pretty much useless for most of us. The government doesn't want you to have an e-bike. The press doesn't want you to. The MSM, mainstream media, really does hammer e-bikes. It really does. And it's not just your mainstream media either. People don't like them. Motorcyclists don't like them. Car drivers don't like them. They're all against them. Pedestrians really hate them. But a lot of this is down to the way people ride them, and it's the idiots that ruin it for the rest of us, because I ride my bike like it's a motorbike. I give way to everything. I'm not on the pavements often, and if I am on a pavement, there's nobody on it. And with the infrastructure that's around Yorkshire for cycling, I don't really need to break the law. But like I said, a week ago or so, I saw 2 Saurons on the cycle path, 2 separate sittings. Nobody doing anything about it. I saw one doing a wheelie through the centre of Wakefield the other day. Nobody doing anything about it. We got cameras. What's the point of having these cameras if you can't track these people down? It's like the Wild West out there. And yet, because I try and stay legal, because I try and encourage everybody else to stay legal on their e-bikes, I feel a bit Tommy Robinson. I'm getting demonised for it. And like I said, some of the comments that I've seen that I've removed, you'd think that I was peeling kittens or something. You really would. I don't know how people can demonise legal e-bike riders. I really don't. But then they've demonised cyclists for years. But the other thing is, it's like Brompton. It's like the motorcycle sort of committees. They really don't want to see these e-bikes in the UK. Brompton will lose hundreds of millions because of it. Like I said, their argument that it takes us 6 years and the thing like and test and everything else. That's your problem. It's not the Chinese's problem. They're getting on with it. They're getting on with things. I read the other day about how many people have been injured on e-bikes and because of e-bikes and whatever else, and the numbers are far less than you think. More people get injured on normal cycles. It's just that this is demonised because it's something new. Scale the numbers up. Legal e-bike riders, a reason to be legal, and these problems go away. The other thing is, if you've got your own e-bike, you don't have to have all these e-bikes littered around city centres in London or whatever else. Scooters just abandoned. You know, as much as they need to be back to their charging point, there's people who just don't take them back. They just abandon them where they leave them. And I think that's a bit, you know what I mean, disrespectful to other people. You see me when I'm out riding, I always say good morning to people. I'm always friendly. There's times when I'm not friendly, but that's with people that are idiots, that see me as some sort of Satan on an e-bike, but they've no reason to. I'm not doing anybody any harm. The same as most of you out there. Like I said, we pay the price for stupid people. We pay the price for people that think there is no law. They don't have to abide to it. Like I said, when you see e-bikes on the news doing wheelies around police cars, or in the recent riots, people riding around on e-bikes and having them confiscated. One of the funniest ones was the Cy Russia one, especially what I think about Cy Russia. I don't see any solution coming across soon. I don't see any updates to the law anytime soon. Like I said, the annoying thing is that we have a climate change issue for some people that want to do something about climate change. Well, it's right here, right in front of you. Imagine half the population that own cars using e-bikes more than cars. Imagine that. Imagine what a change that would make. But no. They want to demonise us. What can I say? Later this week, I'm reviewing the Engway P20, and from what I've ridden of it so far, it's a cool little thing. Let's see how that goes. Anyway, till the next time.